Good morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever and whenever you are. My name is Benjamin, and welcome to RPG Basics, Part 31. In this video, we're going to make some changes to the way the attacking works and the attacking animation, because I want to start incorporating a simple inventory into the series. So, a lot of you have requested that, and I want to do it. It's going to be simple though, so don't expect a complicated inventory with lots of UI. We're going to try and keep things really simple. So let me show you what we're going to be doing in this video. I'm going to run my example project here. Okay, here we go. So in this example project, our character moves around like normal, but when we attack, he has a sword instead of just that slash thing. Now this sword is actually animated using code. So we're animating this sword using code, which makes it easier for you guys to create your own weapons. So if you see here, I've got the sword, and I'm going to be providing these graphics as a link in the description, but you could create your own weapon quite easily, and you wouldn't have to worry about animating it. The code would animate the sword for you, and it looks pretty good. It looks pretty good the way it is. It looks kind of like an older game, how the sword attack looks. And the point with this system, and the reason we're going to set it up this way, is I want to be able to do different weapons that have different stats. Now we're not necessarily going to do that in this video because it'll be a little bit more complicated, but you can see I've got it set up. If I press a button here, I can switch it to the attack, or to an axe. And it will use an axe for this attack instead of the sword. So that's the point of this system that we're setting up, is to create different weapons that you could add into the game. There's one more thing that we're going to do as well. There's actually a bug in our current version where if you die in the first room, then load, then go to the second room, and then return back to the first room, you'll have a duplicate player object. Now I haven't actually discovered the real source of this issue, but I do have a band-aid fix for it. So I'm going to show you guys that. Open up the player object, and we'll apply this quick fix. Come into the create event here, and all we're going to do is just check to see how many player instances there are. So if instance number object player is greater than 1, instance destroy. Okay. I think this will work. Let's double check. So I'm going to try and get the glitch to happen. So what you do is you die from this. That sound effect would actually be better for the attacking. And then you load your game. And then after you've loaded the game, you come into the second room. And then you come back into the first room, and it looks like it's fixed. That's good news. No duplicate players in here. Okay. So like I said, that's a band-aid fix. It's not necessarily the best fix. I think it has something to do with the persistence of the player object and whether or not the first room is persistent. And so when you leave the first room and then go back to it, since we have the player object in the first room right here, room 1, created, we end up with 2 player objects. So I think that's what it is. I'm pretty sure. I just haven't found a good solution. This works though, so we'll throw that in real quick. Now what you're going to need to do is go into the description and download the sprites that I'm going to send you. I'm going to send some new player attack sprites. They're not a lot different, they're not a lot better. However, I do have good news. I'm actually going to be working with a pixel artist. His name is AJ. He's going to be donating some sprite artwork for this course. And so that will be really cool. Here in the future, you can look out for that. For now, we're still just using my little kind of filler graphics here. But it'll be really fun to have some better artwork for the course. And he has a really cool style, so I'm excited to work with him. And Okay, so now let's load in the different attacks. So I'm going to load in the attack down. You should just be able to do load sprite, and I have mine stored in the downloads folder. If I can find downloads. Quick access usually, oh there it is, okay. I'm blind. So we need attack down, which is right here. Okay, perfect. Now we need attack right. Okay. And attack left. And mine, these will actually look a little different from the ones I give you, because these are actually slightly older versions, so I'm going to give you updated versions, but that's okay for this video real quick. And this is attack up. Okay, so we've got all those. Now we're going to load in the sword sprite. We'll just create a new sprite, call it sprite sword, load, and come here, grab the sword. Okay. Now I'm going to center this and then make its x origin -4. Now, why am I doing -4 for the x origin, you might ask? Well, that's going to be what the sword rotates around. We don't want it to rotate around the center because that will look weird. It won't look like an attack. So we're going to move the x origin back a little bit behind here so it rotates around this axis and matches up better with our player's animation. So that's important. Okay. Now we're going to create a new object, and we're going to call this object weapon animation parent. We're going to do that so that we can use the same parent for multiple different weapons and make it really easy. Now we're going to load our sword sprite, and we're going to add a create event. In this create event, we're just going to give it initialize the weapon animation parent. We're just going to give it a direction variable that we can use and set that equal to 0. This is just going to be how we control basically the direction that the sword attacks in, right? Kind of similar to the way we do our player. Now we're going to do a simple animation. So do a step event here. And inside here, we're just going to say animation. Okay. So this animation right here, we're just going to use the image angle. If image angle is greater than or equal to dir -45. Else. Okay, so if it's greater than or equal to dir -45, we're going to do image angle minus equals 18. Now this is just a value that works with the math. It is a magic number, so you might want to change that in your code, but for now we're just going to do this number, the value of 18. If you wanted, you could count the amount of frames that the character sprite has, count the frame that you create the sword on, do all the math and figure it out, but I think it's easier just to do this. So we're going to do instance destroy. So we're just going to destroy the object once we've completed the animation. And that's it. That's all we need for the sword. Just make sure it has the right sprite. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go into the player's move script. So come into scripts, player move state, and we need to write some code in here. Okay. Let me open it up here. Move state. This project's getting pretty big. If we attack, actually open up the attack state, I lied. And we need to create a new script. Now I'm going to show you guys how to detect a specific frame that an animation hits. And it's a little bit trickier than what you think. So let's do a new script, and we're going to call this animation hit frame. We're going to pass in a frame like that. Now you might think you could just say return image index equals frame, right? Equals frame. Like that. But the problem is if your animation speed is 0.5, well, no, that's a bad example. If your animation speed is 0.6 and you pass in a frame of, let's say, frame 3, you may never hit frame 3 because you're incrementing the image index by 0.6. So you'll get 0.6 will be frame 0. Well, 0 will be frame 0. 0.6 will be frame 0 again. 1, let's see. 0.6 is really fast, yeah. And then you'll get 1.2, which will be frame 1. But see, you're not exactly on 1. So there's no way to get it exactly. So the way that you do this is you do image index is greater than frame plus 1 minus image speed, like this. And image, that gets most of the cases, but there's still one case where it's exactly on the next frame where you can get it. And so we have to do one more case here, which is image index is less than frame plus 1. Okay, so that looks a little ugly. Don't feel bad if you don't understand the logic behind this. I spent way too long trying to figure out the best way to do this. And so if you don't understand this logic, that's okay. If you want to try and figure it out, you can, but just know it took me a while to figure it out. So you don't have to, you can just copy paste this code and use it. But now we can get an exact frame of an animation. So that's really useful in our attack. So you see how we have this attacked variable here inside of our script attack state? Instead of doing that and having attacked equals false, when you attack, you set attack to true, we can remove that now and we can say if animation hit frame 3, and it'll work. That's really useful to be able to do that. Okay, so now that we've got that in, we need to create our weapon. So we're going to say if animation hit frame 2, so right before we actually attack, we're going to create the weapon. We're going to say var attack animation equals instance create, and I'm just going to create it at the X and Y position. We're going to do object weapon animation parent. Okay. And once we've got that, we need to set its direction, and we're going to use the direction the player's facing. So we're going to say var attack, no var, attack animation dot direction equals face times 90. Okay, that gets the direction the player's facing in. After we've done that, we can say attack animation dot image angle equals attack. Let's just do this. Face times 90, the direction we're facing, plus 45. And let's put parentheses here just for readability, even though we don't need them because of the order of operations. Okay. And there you go. We're now creating the sword. And this should work. Yeah, it should work. We're already to the point where this should work. My animations will look a little bit funny. Down will look funny, yeah. So my character animations look a little funny, but like I said, you get updated animations. So this should all look good for you. But there we go. We're attacking with the sword. The sword doesn't contain the hitbox. The hitbox is the object we're creating. We may change that slightly later. But the hitbox is big enough that it works well with this. So there you go. We've got the sword in now. There's a few things we want to do real quick in order to clean this up a little. Come into the character. remove the attacked variable. We don't need that anymore because we figured out a better way to do it. And then now we're going to want to actually create the real weapon, because right now we're using the weapon parent. So duplicate that, duplicate the object, and name this object sword. And delete the event. Ooh, that's kind of loud. And choose, make sure you set the parent, object weapon animation parent. Now let's go into the player attack, or the player's create event. And we're going to create a variable in here called weapon, and we're going to set it for now equal to object sword. Okay. Now instead of in our attack state right here where we create the object weapon animation parent, instead of doing that, we're going to create this the weapon that the character has. So just type in weapon. That's the variable. Now everything should run the exact same that it did before, but we'll be using the correct, but now it's a variable that we can change. So when our inventory updates, right, when we change the inventory, we can just change that weapon variable and it will change which object it creates. So looking pretty good. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. It's a little bit later. Usually I try and get them out by Friday morning, but this one's Friday night. So oh yeah, and I did want to say this too. The reason it's been a while since the last video is because my wife actually had our second kid. And so there's a new baby in the house, baby beast number 2, for those of you that watched my live streams and joked about that. So that's why it's been a while since my last video, and probably why I look like I haven't gotten a lot of sleep. So, but it's been fun. It's really exciting. So anyways, thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you appreciate it. I'll do another video next Friday and probably some more Godot tutorial videos, or one Godot tutorial video in between, so keep an eye out for those. Thank you guys so much, and I'll talk to you guys later.